Kathy and John were outside. They were enjoying the unusually warm spring day. They had decided that it was the perfect time to plant new flower bed that they had planned all winter long, as it seemed to snow for weeks on end. They would sit by the fireplace and dreamily talk about the spring and flower beds and being able to open the windows again to let the fresh air flow through. They had noticed that the for sale sign in their neighbor's yard had been taken down weeks ago, but no one had moved in. Until today. Kathy immediately took inventory of the couple's stuff. It didn't look like they had children. She noticed their furniture style. She wondered how old they were. The people who had lived there before were in their 70s. Nice enough, but not even close to the same age as she and John, who were both 35 years old. The Goldsteins had been retired. They had 3 children and 7 grandchildren, and that's why they sold their home. They were moving to California to be close to their grandkids. Kathy desperately wanted a younger couple to move in, and it looked like she was getting her way. Hey, John, look, but don't look. The new couple, they look pretty close to our age, don't you think? John glanced up and did make it obvious. How do you even know it's them? It could be the kids helping to move in some more old people. Well, started Kathy, see the sofa? It's not puffy or floral. The coffee table? It's glass. It's not what grandparents would have around with the grandkids. And look at that chandelier. It's like the one that I saw in that catalog. I showed it to you. The pipe-looking lamp with the Edison bulbs? That's not exactly screaming granny, right? John looked again, wiping his gloved hands off on his old jeans. Yeah, that's true, Sherlock. I think you may be right. This time. Okay, I'm gonna go over and say hi. Kathy, the moving truck is literally still running. You want to wait until they take the keys out of it at least? Yeah, all right. I don't want to scare them off or anything. I'll take them some cookies tomorrow. She got up. She took her gloves off and dropped them on the grass, and as she turned to walk towards the house, John hollered, Hey, where are you going? We still have flowers to plant. John, Kathy shot back, I have to go to the store. I don't have stuff for the cookies. Hey, what kind? John let out a sigh. He knew that once she got something in her mind that she was not going to let it go. Chocolate chip. And make some for me, too. The next thing he knew, her car was pulling out of the driveway, and she waved back at him as he had raised his arm and waved goodbye. The next afternoon, Kathy was chomping at the bit to get a closer look at the couple. She called her best friend Angel and told her how excited she was to have some young neighbors. It seemed like the entire block was a retirement community. Angel encouraged her to go over, but don't be too excited. Play a little hard to get. Kathy took a plate of warm cookies next door. The front door was open as the movers and what looked like maybe an interior designer were yelling and pointing and moving and removing the furniture and hanging the artwork. Hello? She called out, and a woman with a slight build, big blonde hair, blue eyes, and short shorts turned the corner. Oh, hi, hello. I'm Kathy. I live next door. My husband is John. Anyway, we just wanted to welcome you to the neighborhood. Kathy knew that she was not playing anything close to hard to get. She was practically panting at the idea of having a friend live next door. Hello, replied the woman. She reached out to shake Kathy's hand, but the grip wasn't firm. It was rather limp, actually. Kathy thought that this woman was pretty good at not acting too excited. I'm Adelaide Winston. My husband is Benjamin. He's not here right now. I'm sorry that you missed him, but thank you for coming. And she just stood there, looking at Kathy, waiting for her to get the clue that she had just been dismissed. Oh, right. I suppose you're both very busy. She handed Adelaide the cookies, and Adelaide took them, and as soon as she did, she handed them off to a mover and told them all to help themselves. Kathy was pretty sure that Adelaide wasn't just playing hard to get. Okay, then, started Adelaide. Right, said Kathy, rather confused. I'll see myself out. And as she turned, the man she assumed was Adelaide's husband wheeled in a woman in a wheelchair. Addie, can you call someone about that ramp? It's not very sturdy. And Adelaide left the room with an exasperated sigh. Kathy was set to walk past the man when he stopped her. Hi, I'm Ben. Aren't you the woman from next door? Yes, replied Kathy. Ben reached out to take her hand, and he seemed much warmer than her impression of Adelaide was. You like gardening? He asked. Huh? Kathy replied, trying to wrap her mind around these neighbors, the polar opposite couple. You were planting flowers, he said. Oh, yeah. No, not really. No, I don't know anything about it. We were just eager to get out into the warm weather and add some color to the yard. I see. Well, I like to garden, so if you ever want tips. Okay, sure, replied Kathy, looking down at the woman in the chair. Ben hadn't explained who she was, nor introduced the two, and Kathy was curious. Oh, this is Kim. She's my sister. Bad car accident, he whispered. Addie and I take care of her. Oh, started Kathy. How kind of you. If you two ever need anything at all, please let us know. And she noticed that the woman looked very ill, so thin and pale. There was hardly any movement in her face. Her eyes didn't even blink regularly. Poor guy, she thought. So young to be caring for such a disabled sister and married to an ice sculptor of a wife. That evening, she reported her meeting with the Winstons to John. He laughed and told her that perhaps first impressions are best saved until one of the most stressful events of your life is over and they are settled in. Kathy was sure that he was right, but still, she had a strange gut feeling. Over the next few weeks, the two couples would wave at each other from their driveways and make small talk about weather. Beautiful day, isn't it? Or, I sure hope these clouds leave soon. Kathy had seen Ben working in the space he'd carved out for the garden. Every weekend he'd be out there, first planting the seeds and flowers, then tending to the area, picking weeds and watering. But she never saw Ben's sister. They didn't seem to take her for walks, and she didn't seem to have a nurse to help care for her, as Kathy had never seen another car there. Must be hard taking care of her, she pondered. Maybe she should take them a meal or something. Yeah, she decided that she would. One Saturday, Kathy was taking out the garbage, and she saw Ben in his garden. She decided to try this first impression thing again. Hi, Ben, she began. Are you all settled in? He jumped a little, startled to hear her voice. Yes, mostly. Still have some small things, but yeah. Well, hey, listen, said Kathy. John and I are wanting to do something for you, to, help out a bit. Would you mind if we brought a meal over for the three of you? Ben began to answer. Oh, that's really nice. That would be... Then he stopped, suddenly, as if he remembered something and started over. Yes, that'd be great. I'm sure that Adelaide would love that. But, Kim, she doesn't really eat solid food, so no need to worry about that. If you were. Kathy thought his behavior odd. She found it a little endearing, though, that he seemed so nervous, like a little boy. Well, that's good to know. Is there anything that you wouldn't like? I make a mean lasagna. Sure, that'd be great. How about next weekend? Saturday night? And then she heard Adelaide speaking. Yes, that's very kind of you. Would you and your husband like to stay and eat dinner with us? Sure. That would be lovely. Okay, then. 7 on Saturday? Adelaide spoke up before Ben could, and reached her hand out. Kathy took it, and this time her handshake was very firm. In fact, it was painfully firm. See you then, she said, making eye contact with Kathy for just a bit too long. And as she walked away, she could have sworn that the two were now having an intense conversation. When John got home, she told him all about it, and again, he brushed it off. Who knows? Maybe she's a jealous type. Didn't like you talking to her, man, and he tickled her. But Kathy's instincts were going nuts. On Tuesday night, Kathy was in her guest bedroom, and something across the way caught her eye. A woman in the Winston home. Kathy could see her through the window. She was beating on the door, dressed in a two-piece flannel pajama set, her hair shaggy. Kathy found herself stopping to watch. "John! John! Quick, hurry!" John came bounding up the stairs, out of breath. "What? Where's the fire?" "Look!" Kathy pointed to the window. "Who is that? What's going on?" "John, that's Ben's sister, the one in the wheelchair? Too weak to speak, can't eat solid foods?" "What? No way! That woman is going to tear that door down." And just then the door opened, and Adelaide walked in and slapped her hard across the face. The woman fell backwards, and Adelaide took something out of a black bag and bent over her. "Quick, John, turn the light off." And when he did, Adelaide looked up, calmly walked to her window, and shut the blinds. "What the hell was that?" asked John. "I don't know, but I'm going over there," replied Kathy. No, you aren't. This is none of our business." "None of our business? John, that woman was just trying to knock down a door and was slapped by Adelaide." Kathy marched on over to the house with John following behind. She rang the doorbell over and over until Ben came to the door, straightening his tie. "Yeah? Everything okay?" "Ben, I just saw your sister trying to get out of that room, and Adelaide slapped her and injected her with something." Ben looked stunned. "No, Kathy. I told you. Kim was badly injured she has a brain injury from when she was in a car accident." "Ben, I want to see her right now." And John gently took Kathy's arm. "Come home, Kathy. That is enough." Behind Ben, Adelaide rolled Kim out in her wheelchair. She was slumped down and had something like a seatbelt holding her in. Her head was to the side, her eyes staring off. "Here she is, Kathy," John began. "I'm so sorry, I really am. Kathy, let's go." "But, John, you—" "Let's go now," John replied more forcefully. "Kathy, I really find this quite upsetting. Ben's sister is his pride and joy. If this is some kind of prank, I really must—" Ben held up his hand. "No, it's fine. Kathy, I don't know what you think you saw, but Adelaide adores Kim, and Kim was certainly not standing up. You must be mistaken." "I'm sorry," began Kathy, wondering if her eyes had deceived her. But John had seen it too, right? I really am. Please forgive me." "Good night, John and Kathy." "And are we still on for Saturday?" asked Ben. "Sure," John answered. And then they went home. "What was that?" asked Kathy. "Why didn't you pack me up, John?" "I don't know. Maybe we weren't saying things right. We don't know, Kathy. But that woman is for certain not standing up and beating down a door." The next night, Kathy sat in the spare room, staring out the window, just hoping to see something. But nothing happened, and the blinds were drawn. On Thursday night, she did the same thing. "Kathy, is this going to happen every night?" John asked. "Yeah, until I see what's going on, it is," replied Kathy. "Well, I'm going to do some work." And off he went. Then, around 9:15, the blinds opened, and she was standing there. Kathy jumped up and went to her window. The woman, Kim, was waving her arms and making large gestures with her hands. Kathy pulled out a notebook and wrote in large letters, "Are you Kim?" The woman shook her head yes. "Do you need help?" And the woman shook her head yes. "John! John!" yelled Kathy. "Quickly!" But Kim was looking nervously at the bedroom door, and she suddenly sat down in her wheelchair. The blinds were still opened. John came bounding in. Adelaide turned the knob. She walked in, and she turned off the lights and closed the blinds. But before doing so, she waved happily at Kathy. You know, like normal neighbors would. Kathy found herself waving back. What? What? Kathy told him all about what had just happened. John stood silently for about a minute. I don't know what to do, he said. Maybe I should wait for her tomorrow night, said Kathy. Well, if you do, I'll wait with you. Early Friday morning, Ben was out working in his garden, so Kathy couldn't help but stop to talk to him. She walked over, her hands shaking a bit. Hey, Ben. Ben looked up. His jeans were filthy, his shirt wet with sweat. Warm out already, isn't it? He commented. It was a little warm, Kathy thought, but this man looked like he'd just run a marathon. Are you okay? She asked. Yeah, great. I love getting my hands into the dirt. It always makes me feel more calm and peaceful, you know? Well, no, not really. I'm more of a massage and manicure type gal myself. But if that works for you. Hey, are those new flowers? She asked. Yeah, you know, the geraniums were my idea and Adelaide wasn't a big fan. I replanted that whole section this morning. Oh, well, no wonder you look worn out. That's a lot of work. Yeah, it was, but whatever makes the wife stop complaining is what makes the husband happy. He laughed, but Kathy thought it was odd. Okay, then, well, have a good day, she said, and he replied, lasagna tomorrow? Sure thing, she called back. Saturday evening, John and Kathy were getting ready to head to the Winstons' home, but Kathy wasn't so happy about her new neighbors anymore. I feel nervous, she said. Me too, replied John. I mean, something seems off, and we barged over there the other night. I just hope it goes well. The evening started off fine. Good, actually. Adelaide was being light-hearted and funny. Ben seemed like the dirt really did make him more peaceful, and as Kathy went to help Adelaide open a new bottle of wine and plate the dessert, she asked, So, do you have any help with Kim? And Adelaide stopped for a moment. She looked like she was composing herself. Actually, Kim is no longer here. Ben put her in an assisted living home. This took Kathy by surprise, shocked her even. There'd been no signs of that coming. She hadn't even seen Ben leave with Kim, although she hadn't seen Kim in the window again, but... Oh, really? I'm so sorry to hear that, Kathy replied. No, really, it's for the best. She's exactly where she needs to be. And the tone of her voice gave Kathy the chills up her spine. She rushed through her dessert and then complained of having a stomach ache, telling John that she needed to go home right now. As they were leaving, she told Adelaide to leave the dirty dishes. She'd come by tomorrow and do them, hoping that Adelaide would decline that offer, and she did. Kathy took John's hand when the door closed and practically ran home. She told him of the conversation and how it made her feel, and while John did think it odd, he thought that it was probably nothing, and told her again to just stop trying to make something out of nothing. And he dozed off rather quickly, but it took Kathy a few hours of tossing and turning before she fell asleep too. The two slept in quite late, and when Kathy went to go for a run around 2 in the afternoon, she noticed a truck in the Winstons' driveway. The door was opened, and the home was empty, completely cleaned out. No couch, no Edison bulbs, no dirty dishes, not even the one Kathy brought the lasagna in. Kathy stopped a man walking out and asked what was going on. Lady, I just moved the stuff. I put the stuff into storage. I don't ask questions, and I don't care. As long as I get the cash, the stuff is moved. Kathy was turning around to get John when several police cars rapidly pulled up to the home and screeched to a stop at the foot of the driveway. John came running out. One officer walked up to Kathy as the others ran into the home. "What is your name?" he asked. "What's going on?" Kathy shot back. "Ma'am, your name." And Kathy told him. He asked if the couple knew the people that lived there, and they both said yes. The officer asked them to describe them. "Well," said Kathy, "Ben is about 6 feet tall, 180 pounds, brownish hair, brown eyes, I think, and his wife Adelaide is quite thin, rather short, 5'2" maybe, bottle blonde hair, and Ben's sister has mousy brown hair, maybe brown eyes. I didn't see her much. Tall, I think, for a woman. Maybe 5'8". The officer stopped writing in his notebook. "Ma'am, did you say his wife is blonde and his sister has brown hair?" "Yes," answered Kathy. "That's right," added John. The officer began. "Ben Jackson." "Winston," broke in Kathy. "No, ma'am. His name is Ben Jackson, and he doesn't have a sister. His wife is named Kim, and we suspect that they kidnapped their housekeeper, Adelaide." "No, officer. Kim was disabled, in a wheelchair. Adelaide was fine. She is Ben's wife." Then a canine began barking and digging at the flower bed that Ben had planted a few days earlier. "Can you please wait?" asked the officer, and the couple followed him to get a better look. There was a man digging in Ben's flower bed, and then a lot of commotion. They pulled a body out. It was Kim. It was Kim's body. Kathy's head was spinning. What is going on here? What just happened? John was even shaking when he looked at her. "That is Ben's wife?" And the officer came walking back towards them. "Yes, sir. That appears to be Ben's wife." And he showed them a picture of Kim, healthy and happy, smiling into the eyes of Ben, who was pushing away a stray hair from her forehead. "Then who's the woman he's calling his wife? And why is Kim—" She didn't want to say it, but her mind was flashing back to seeing Adelaide slap her, seeing Kim trying, begging to get out of that room, pleading with Kathy to help her, as Kathy held up those paper notes to the window. "Officer, Ben and Kim didn't kidnap Adelaide. Ben and Adelaide killed Kim." As she looked past the officer, she saw Kim's frail, starved body, one bone-thin arm still raised in the air, still calling out for help as she was placed into the black body bag.